The truth about outsourcing software engineers. Let's see what this has to say. Hello, I'm Chris Tennis. I'm a KMP developer, tech support. They said they're coming out, guys. They're gonna close that thing up. Okay, today we're gonna be listening to. I haven't looked at this yet. I haven't previewed it. I saw this channel blow up about a month and a half ago. I generally like his takes. So let's see. Everything looks good. All right, let's go ahead and see what he has to say, and I'm gonna speed it up a little.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another wealthy enclave of Dallas, probably the most famous, Highland Park. So we'll look at some of these beautiful homes while I talk. So in this video, what I want to talk about is why you shouldn't outsource your team. Now, with the prices you're seeing,
Just for clarity, I have outsourced teams. I've actually worked with outsourced teams. So I hired a team in Ukraine. I worked also at a different company working with Ukrainian developers. I haven't worked with any Indian developers yet. I did interview a bunch of them. But yeah, so I have had some experience with this, with offshoring. My offshoring experiences, when I hired the developers, they actually did good. But it was like the company I was working for at the time didn't quite see the benefit in how things were operating, and didn't understand that, this is a stopgap measure and you would have to eventually onshore, and it'd be quite a bit more expensive. They didn't quite understand that concept. But yeah, so that's been my experience so far. And I have been an offshore developer too. I worked for this guy in London. He wanted to do this game called Clue, and in the UK it's called Cluedo. And so I was an offshore developer for a little while. Let's keep going.
and the prices I've outlined in other videos that I've made, it seems pretty enticing to do it. And a lot of people we work with will always bring up, oh, I could just outsource for way cheaper than you guys, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I'm going to dismantle your whole argument for wanting to outsource and why you really should question yourself if you are doing it. So let's first start off with the obvious reasons of why you shouldn't outsource. Probably the number one complaint I have is communication. Obviously, most teams, especially if they're offshore, are working terrible hours.
Yeah, it's wicked. It's wicked difficult. The communication thing does. Whatever your money you think you're saving on using this offshore developer, it's all going to be, unless they're doing all the work themselves and just a self-contained unit, which is how I set up the people I worked with. I hired for the team I was working with offshore. I was like a combination effort. Like that's not gonna work. So, yeah, so mine worked out well, but it was a self-contained unit. So the communication was all asynchronous and it worked out super well. But the one where I had to do synchronous communication, no.
And you have to stay up either super late or in the morning, or they're doing it. And that's something that no one wants to do. The communication between teams could also get lost in translation. There could be many different things where you say something in the requirements, and once you hand them over and they're agreed upon, they're worked on, and guess what? You're getting delivered a different product.
Correct.
I know tons of companies that have this issue where they clearly define requirements, they send it over, and
and that is a profit center. So this is a standard. This is standard. If you're going to do offshore, realize that you're going to be, whatever money you're saving, you think you're saving in time, is going to be eaten up by these issues of not getting delivered the right thing, miscommunication, not understanding. I think the reason why the people I hired in Ukraine to do that, the project I was an architect on, was that I basically laid out the product already for them, and all they did was, so I already had it set up completely ready to go and all the UI sketches, had the whole diagram of how the flow of the application would work. I had already set that up for them in the design document, and they were like, "Oh shit, this is different." It was like, "Yeah, because I'm a developer." So this guy wanted to specialize, a whole separate set of specialized stuff that I didn't really know exactly how to do, but I knew how to architect systems, and I knew how to communicate with developers. I knew what they wanted to hear and when they wanted to hear it and how they wanted to hear it, because I was a developer. So I was able to communicate that with them. And I was also the lead on the team, and I was in charge of these guys. So that worked out. But when I was at this other company, or when I was just an independent contributor, and I was trying to work with these developers, and other people were communicating stuff to me that I was supposed to communicate to this developer, it's like, no, man, no, that's not gonna, no, it didn't work out.
And what they get back is nothing like what they originally wanted, even though all these things were agreed upon. Now, this is a big issue, because what does this do?
Agreed upon doesn't mean understood. Okay, and also these offshore developers understand how this whole thing works. So they've been doing it for a while usually. And they say, and so if you're trying just to cheap out, they're gonna get their money out of you still. So don't look at the price tag, initial price tag. And look, it's agreed on it. It's fine. It's cheaper. It's all good. No.
So products not getting delivered on time and things like that. Now you might say, oh, nearshore, and guess what? You'll be in the same time zone, but you still will have these communication issues.
Correct.
With that kind of barrier of this communication, you're going to have a lot of issues being able.
A lot of it's cultural. It's not just the business, it's like business minded. It's also a lot of it's cultural, like American culture. We grow up in this environment where we know how things are supposed to work, and other people, they don't have that. I live in Mexico right now. They do it different. They do it different down. They handle problems, but they do it differently. And if you try to approach it in a way, because it's a cultural thing, if you try to approach it in a way American does it down here, you're gonna have issues, and these are the issues.
Able to communicate business deliverables and translating them to technical tickets.
Correct.
And yeah, maybe
even then, that's the ticket isn't. There's still all this tacit knowledge that has to go in play, and that's where this cultural stuff starts to have an issue. Let's keep going.
hire someone really well to help you out with that, but again, you're going to be paying the price for that, or maybe they
Right.
provide it. But again, this doesn't
Yeah,
always
so
happen.
I was the go-between. So the reason why this company, the company that I worked, I hired the offshore. That company, Returns was the name of that company. They didn't know. They all they had was a conceptual business model, business idea that they wanted to try and implement. They had no technical expertise. They had a little bit of technical expertise, but not much. Like compared to mine, I was a developer, so I knew all these things put together. Now I wasn't as technical in some of the details. Like I was an Android developer. They wanted to do iOS and web and stuff. And I hadn't gotten that far yet at that point. So all I knew was the Android. So, but I knew all the things that needed to happen. So they used me, and I designed and architected the project, and I talked and communicated to the developers and let them know where they were going wrong, what they're cutting corners on, like all the specific technical details. I could answer them, and that's unusual. Most companies don't do it like that. They have the business guy who shops around, he finds the best price, and he gets in this conundrum. And the business fails, or he might get lucky and go for a higher bidder, and he's got a little bit more money to spend. But then all these cultural issues start to come into play, and there's no technical and cultural person who can direct the team. You're gonna be no.
Happen in practice. From what I see, a lot of the time communication, the off hours, does really play a factor to why
Big time.
working with an offshore team becomes very cumbersome.
There's this so when I was working at that Wellsmith company, working with an offshore development team that they were trying to bring onshore, they knew that this contract was about to end. So they know that, and these business people don't seem to understand. It's like, you do realize that the fact that you're just paying them hourly, and they know this thing's about to end, that they are not real motivated to like deliver good stuff. I mean, like this, like, what are you talking about? It's like, now one of the things I did with the Ukrainian team when I was working at Returns was I made them like, hey, if this thing takes off, we're gonna need you to do the next update, because I'm not gonna build enough. We're not have enough time to build a development team. So this will be the first thing, and then we're gonna do another one after this, and that kept them motivated. Like, okay, these guys are not just in it just to grab and go and try and get somebody else to do their stuff after for cheaper. I was like, no, I don't think that's ours. I don't think we have the capability to do that. So I was also this cultural. I was working all these different angles. These guys didn't understand what was going on, and it became really contrast when I went to Wellsmith, and I saw. And Wellsmith is out of business now, so whatever. But I saw how they were handling it, and they were expecting to work like an American company. I was like, no, it's like the Ukrainians do something different, man. They're hard workers and stuff, but you can't be trying to take advantage of them. That's not gonna really, no, that's not how this is gonna work. And they could totally. So I was like, and that's what was going on. And even though if they couldn't say it, or speak to this is the underlying context. Was like, we're paying you a little bit of money now. We're probably gonna, if it goes off big, we're gonna get rid of you, and if it doesn't go off big, we're just gonna get rid of you. So it's like, and these Ukrainians know that. They're like, well, we've seen this one before. It's like these business people are like, no, we can just get away with that. It's like, no, there's two games being played here, and then we have this other thing, these games being played. This gamesmanship starts to get now with Returns. I was able to avoid that. Eventually it turned into something else. But like initially, to get the project finished, that was how I put it through. And I was hoping that we could keep going, but the company was like, "Oh, that was easy." The company was with Returns like, "Oh, that was easy. Yeah, we can just don't really need you. We can just keep going without you." It's like, you don't understand all this stuff. So I was like, "Oh, okay. Some of these companies really don't understand the value you're bringing and how much you're cutting off." Stuff that they don't have to pay for or worry about or look into or just or get mixed feelings or bad feelings about that to be redone. Like, no, that skipped a bunch of that. It's like, okay, that's not valuable. All right, man, good luck.
Instead of something that is considered to be a cheat code out here. Now, let's move into some other reasons, some that are probably less known. So first off, if you're working at a FANG company in India, you're probably making between 25 to like 100,000 a year, somewhere in that range. Any developer over there would immediately come over to America to work at a FANG company. It wouldn't even be a question. You could get paid over 10x your salary. Now people might be saying, oh, the US is too car-centric, it has no culture, you've got to drive everywhere, blah, blah, blah. You know what, 10x your salary, we'll fix all that.
Yeah, if I could move, as an American, if I could move to Canada or somehow go into Canada, make 10 times my salary and just go into Canada, doing the same work, I'll put up with a little cold winter and a boot. I'll put up with quite a bit. For 10x my salary, come on now.
Will not care. I mean, shoot, I would. If I got offered 10x a salary, guess what? I'm packing my bags and I am moving there.
Exactly.
So you got to realize most of the developers who can and most of the great developers over there are already here.
Correct.
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't any developer move to where they can make more money?
It's what they call an IQ shredder. They're going to suck out all the people that could actually maybe make their country better, and they suck them out over here because they're going to make your life-changing money. Come on. And they're going to be here. And no wonder their crap holes country just keeps getting crappier because it's an IQ shredder over here. Let's keep going.
And you might say, oh, there might be immigration issues. Oh, there might be this and that that's causing these developers to not be able to easily move to different countries, blah, 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 all these different things.
Nah, if these companies want these developers who are these valuable, they're going to get them. So let's not be real. Let's be real about that.
Well, all these FANG companies, again, that have presence there, do you think that these engineers want to work for your small company and do work for your small company at the wages that you want?
Hell no! But they know that you've heard that you can go over there and get them for the cheap and just take advantage of the thing. It's like, oh really? You can take advantage of us? How about we take advantage of you? Like there's two games being played here, man. This offshore stuff is pretty old. It's been happening for what 20 years. They might have picked up some tips along the way.
Want to pay? No, they would much rather work at a Facebook and Amazon over there, where yes, they're going to be paid less, but you know what? They have a different reputation there because they're working for a company that they can take ownership of. Because again, it's a global company. Your small company has no presence there, and it leaves them very abstracted from the work. They really don't have any ownership, and that's another point there. A lot of the time, developers overseas, when it's not a large, well-known company, have no identity to the company at all. Yeah. It's hard for them to care more than doing the bare minimum to get the project out. And why would you? This is just some random company that you're never really going to have an identity with. So really delivering the bare minimum is what you want to do.
Unless you have somebody like me who's like talking to them and being engaging with them and letting them know, hey, we're going to keep moving forward. And the company I had is like, yeah, if we keep this goes on, this does well, we'll keep going, etc., and they really mean it, etc., then you have a different type of result. But the normal business MBA, we're going to ship that thing offshore and save 22.3% according to our calculations. Yeah, that kind of shit. Yeah. Well, it's gonna happen. Like people have figured it out, guys. Like there's no cutting corners here, guys. So let's keep going.
The pay that most companies want to offer, where we're talking minimum wage, we're talking $2 an hour. Yes, stuff like that happens in some of these countries. Yeah, but again,
it happens here too. It's called being an intern. What are you talking about?
How are you going to grab someone when all these large tech companies are scooping up all the talent? So in Bangalore, in Hyderabad, in other countries, all the talent is going to want to work at these companies. And it's the same in America too. There's this FANG obsession here. Everyone wants to work there. It's the same there. So again, most of the great...
Well, that's because they want the easy, because so there's a developer that wants to go work at these FANG companies because they have the talent. There's other people that work there because they have the money. It's same here. It's the same stuff. This is a worldwide culture. You're not going to get away from it. It's just the cost of living is different because these countries are not that nice to live in, etc., etc.
Engineers that are not already over here, you know where they're working? They're working at these large, well-known companies. Now, let's talk on another point here. Another big issue that I see all the time is gatekeeping. So, anytime you outsource an application, what will they do most of the time? Well, to keep their job, guess what they should do is make the application so hard to do that they're irreplaceable. You can't replace them because the application is written in a way that, guess what, it's extremely difficult to understand.
Correct. Which I go over all the time on my channel. And I took courses about it, about why, making these things simpler. And they completely ignore that stuff. They completely ignore it. And maybe it's also they don't know, but let's be real about it. You're going to get what you pay for with this stuff. And that's why the adventure-driven development stuff I go into, it's like, yeah, this stuff these companies that are trying to do that are going to lose. And the ones that are anywhere successful doing that are open to direct assault attack because they are dealing with this stuff 24/7. And if you do local development in your culture for your people, your customers are in your culture, you're going to be able to dominate. You can be able to compete with these people because it's open for direct competition. Let's keep going.
And only they understand the logic and why things are doing, like why these functions are working how they work and why we're writing this code in this way. Only they understand it. And do you think they want to easily tell you
They don't. Of course, they want the. Come on. They're gaming the system because you're gaming it. You think you're gaming them? They're gaming you. Come on, man.
Why that is? No, because that makes them replaceable. Why would they ever want to develop an application for you where they're not a full ownership and in charge of everything there, and they are the single source of knowledge for that? They would not do that. So gatekeeping is a huge issue.
Well, it's not gatekeeping. I wouldn't call it gatekeeping. I would call it ensuring job security and future contracts. I mean, come on, people are. I don't know why people are like, oh, I'm just going over there and save money. They're going to show me how to do it. I'm going to take it back and then I'll run it on myself. It's like, no, dude. No, that's not how this works.
And you're not going to be able to have other people on board easily to these projects.
Correct.
Let's say something goes sour with a team that you're working with overseas and you need to replace them. Guess what? That ramp-up period for having someone else come there and then help you learn the application, get all the domain.
Which is what I was doing. I was brought into that Wellsmith company to do this exact thing, to onshore. After the previous developer was working with this Ukrainian developer trying to onshore, and he quit. He didn't no. He's like, I'm out of here. Like, didn't even give it 2 weeks. I don't even give 2 weeks notice because there was no training, there was no document. The documentation was so horrible. It was like half done. And then I was working with. Then I was brought on to work with this developer to try and bring this thing onshore. And the contract was ending, and the night guy knew the contract. No, dude. So that was a no-go. That was definitely. And I was trying to explain this stuff to the people and the business people. Are like, no, this is just how we do it. It's like, this is how, okay.
Level knowledge and perform will take a long time of ramp up, let me tell you, because I've seen this firsthand before.
Just start over. You better just start over. Use that as an MVP, a design platform, start over. Look, you failed. You failed in your primary goal of trying to doing the offshore stuff. You thought you could get away with it, and you didn't. You need to stop. Now you have to bring everybody onshore and still build it all onshore. And if you don't have the technical skills to do that, well, guess what? You're gonna get swamped by someone who does. Because this whole thing is primed for direct assault.
So gatekeeping, all the talent being scooped up and things like that. Another reason I want to talk about is how, with the use of AI development, onshore teams here are able to compete.
Yeah.
So, with all this AI development and things out there, your bandwidth as an engineer is 10x. You're able to write.
Right, but you have to have an engineer first that knows how this stuff works, not just a prompter. It's not you're not going to prompt your way to this. It's like an engineer with prompting that understands how these systems are set up, because they're not set up for prompting. None of these platforms that we're programming for are set up for this prompting stuff. Like, if we have another platform, a new operating system that's designed for prompting, okay, that might be a thing. I could see that possibly happening in the future. But right now, we're still using these AIs to control things that were made by humans that were not really designed for the AIs to be programming for this. So you have to have an engineer who understands all the complexities involved with programming for these damn things, right? And then you can go from there. But you can't just come in, I'm going to prompt my way. Like, the juniors are kind of screwed, man. If they think that they're going to go to the way of the top using the AIs and just kind of skip how these systems are put together in a deep understanding, a deep way, which I go into my course, How to Program from the Ground Up, which I'll leave a link in the thing down there below, and it's free, completely. I just want to star. I just want to GitHub star.
Write way more code than you are. And if you understand how to use AI effectively, you're not vibe coding. You understand the
vibe coding. It's such a stupid word. I'm just gonna prompt my vibe. It's so stupid. And the thing, and these AI companies are just being such scoundrels by saying this is possible to do that. We're gonna write a game by vibing, like vibe coding your way to no. Look, it's advertising. It's being on the balloons. Look, it's a flight simulator. It's like, no, it's not. Stop.
The underlying technologies and the mechanisms of what makes things work. Guess what? You're a 10x engineer now. You're able to do things that I couldn't dream of.
Right. So with the Fred's road trip storyteller, which I have a whole series on, I go into how I built it down from the ground up. It's 95%, 97% all Kotlin. It's iOS and it's Android, and it's I could do the web if I want to. I could do a desktop. I have tried the desktop. I got to do something with the GPS stuff to get that working properly. So, but I mean, it's all the same code base. Boop. And I didn't know how to do that stuff. Then the AI stuff came along, and I was able to do it without having to fully learn the whole iOS system. I just know kind of how it works and some basics, and then AI helped me understand that. And I already just deeply understood Android and deeply understood the web, so I was like, this can't be that much different. It's not. It's actually way better. I wish it would have started with iOS instead of Android. Android's been a total nightmare. let's keep going.
I mean, I remember manually testing accessibility bugs in high resolution at Microsoft. I mean, do you know how easy that type of job is now with AI? AI could probably do the whole thing for you. That job is eliminated. So with all this leads to what? 10x the engineering and then lower cost to work with onshore teams.
Right.
And this is really starting to move the needle for more onshore teams that compete with these,
Correct.
overseas teams. It is really incredible the amount of.
Now, not at the big companies, but at little companies who want to take a slice of some existing business. Because that's the thing about this stuff. The MVP's already been produced. The MVP's been produced. All you got to do is realize that they're open for direct assault.
Talent and ability that are able to be exemplified with the use of AI development nowadays. So, while it may not be 100% there yet, there's a movement towards it, and it's coming.
Yeah.
So,
there's always
with all that being said,
especially with how it's been totally scammed, and most people are like, and the zero interest rate thing is not really going to be working anytime soon. They're not going to go back to that anytime soon. So the free and easy money is gone. So those business people can't collect enough money to justify their little layer of incompetence. So now it's up to developers like me and you who have got this far in the video, who want to direct assaults on these businesses using these techniques and these technologies. And I love Campy because it's like I can see that they're kind of set it up for this. I don't know if they did it intentionally or not, but that's how I'm going to use it.
It makes you think, why would someone want to go overseas? Why would someone want to risk so many different things going wrong with their application? And over again, they'll
cut money, and they think they get away with it. And the salespeople on the other side of the pond, because I've talked to them, if you can talk to them, they got guarantees. They'll make sure the application, we're going to get the source code. We got really good people. They're the best of the best. Yes, you've heard about all these problems before. We've got ways of solving that. We got people on your time. So they have people dedicated. They are going to be on your time. All that crap.
They'll point to the price. The price is so good. The price is so low. I'm paying.
But that's the baited hazard. How's that? That's a loss leader. Oh yeah. We'll get you in there. We'll get you the code. And so you start going through the screens, and we got all the things. But the problems happen later on. Later on, when you go, could you change this? Could you change that? These things over here are broken. We don't know how this works. I'm gonna onboard a developer. Blah, 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 blah. That's when the money goes. Whoop. That's when all the loss leader in the beginning, where they're just basically covering their costs. That's when the profits happen, and they get you by the nuts. Because what are you gonna do? You're a year into this project. What are you gonna do? You're gonna back out now? You're gonna get rid of them? You got $50,000 into that, but you got $150,000 into that team. You're gonna break out now. You're gonna bust out when things are getting hard. You're like, oh my god, I got customers are calling. This thing's breaking down. They're getting refunds. The VCs say we can't do round C yet because we need to get these key things done. And well, we're gonna have to put our people on overtime. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
$2 for an engineer that's been working for 10 years for me. Well, ethically, there's a whole lot of things there. I mean, look at these big companies. Obviously, Nike is very well known for their sweatshops and things like that they had to shut down. But
honestly, that's that aside. That's kind of a side issue. This other one is like, oh no, we're gonna make money off of you now. Come on now, this is business.
For engineering, yes, you could be paying these low wages, half software.
Different cultures have different ways of handling business. Not every culture is American culture.
Engineers, but it goes back to something I said in a video I made before, is that some of these software engineers could be indentured servants.
Yes.
Yeah, essentially a form of slave labor, where maybe they picked up some.
Let's be real. I mean, come on. We kind of all are until you can finance your way out of your slavery. Let's be real about it. Everyone's got to work, and everybody has to have a job. Like, it's like, okay, well, what's that?
Crazy debts, and they need to pay it off.
So let's not be real. Yes, the world runs on this economic money thing. Yes, can't get around it. I think this is not the main issue. The issue is cultural differences, time differences, language differences, just realistic how this stuff works, how the level of complexity required to achieve the thing you want is way, way more than most business people even understand. That was the hard thing, was like convincing the returns people, because it's just a reverse order system. It's like, well, dude, there's a lot of stuff that can happen in there. And I had to like explain to them about the unhappy path. They're like, what are you talking about? It's like most of the development's in the unhappy path. What do you mean? It's like, yes, this routing back and forth, but there's like 1,000 things that can go wrong on the way. What do you mean? It's like, well, that's where the architect and engineer comes in. That has to have a knowledge of business, knowledge of technology, knowledge of how people do things, and how people like to scam things too. You got to know all that stuff.
And whatnot. So you could unknowingly be funding this type of behavior, be funding this type of.
Yeah, but I don't think people really give a fuck about that. Let's be real honest. Let's be real honest. People know the iPhone is made in China sweatshops with people running, jumping off the buildings. They don't go fuck. So, I care. I think it's wrong, but we can't control the world. All we can control is our country, the one we live in, and we're part of the culture of. We can't go. We're not going to go change somebody. I live in Mexico right now. I'm not changing this culture. It's how it is. It's going to be like this. It's been like this for a long time. There's reasons, very good reasons why it is like this. And it's not going to change. And I'm not going to try and change it. Let's keep going.
Indentured servitude. So ethically, there's a lot of issues that come up and you have to do your research. But let's pause here. We did find
What does that mean?
probably one of my favorite houses in Dallas. Check this bad boy out. Woo.
That's nice.
And then there's another one up here. Let me show you guys. So yeah, ethically, are you ready to do that? Is that what capitalism is now? We're going to just abuse the third world?
I mean, kind of was. That seems to be the NBA choice that was made, that we can go exploit people. And the other thing is, we're giving them technology and go upgrading them, which is true. But also, let's be honest, also taking advantage of them. Okay.
A lot of companies do that, and they're able to do that due to how large they are. But is your small team...
Wow. Let's be real. There are also other factors in play. It's better to work at $2 an hour than $0 an hour. Better to eat a little bit of something than starve. Okay, so you got the other side of the coin too.
Team or your local company able to do this and benefit from it? There's a lot of concerns there. All right, here's another one. Let's take a look. This one here kind of gives that Miami vibe. I love it.
Right.
Gorgeous, and with a little water feature. Again, if you don't have a water feature, is it even a multi-million-dollar house?
No.
I'll let you guys decide in the comments. So those are my reasons why working with an outsourced team is just really not practical for most companies out there. Again, you got to realize the talent.
They want to try it though, and with the ZERP, it made sense because they could, get money easily, and they could go just. It didn't matter if they lost it or not. They could do that, but that's gone now.
That you're shooting for, again, is either going to be over here or it's already going to be scooped up. Again, the law of averages with IQ, everyone says, oh, overseas people are so great at development, blah, 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 they have better education, and that might be true. But again, the law of averages with IQ will say that not everyone can be an amazing engineer, and I wholeheartedly agree that. It's not some skill that if you do it for a while, you'll know. No, there's people that are able to be cracked level engineers.
Right.
And those engineers, let me tell you, they're not going to be getting paid a pittance to work on your application.
Correct.
No, they're going to already be over here, or they're going to be scooped up by a high-level company over there. I mean, maybe rarely you might be
I mean, you will get people get lucky all the time. Somebody wins the lottery.
able to get lucky, but those things are few and far between, and people need to know that. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. Again, think twice about doing these practices. There's a lot of ethical concerns there, and it's definitely something to watch out for.
I don't think it's ethically has some problems, but most people, if you try and bring that angle, they'll be like, nah, shut up.
So, lastly, I want to throw in our sponsorship from Protocoding. Are you a business out there with no web presence?
All right, I'm gonna let him do his commercial, and I'm gonna say goodbye by saying, please give me a like and subscribe, and go over give him a like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon, and I'll rant some more.